everyone. I'm Miss Trish. I'm one of the RE teachers for UU St. Petersburg, and I'm here with the session for the 21st of February, 2021. This session is entitled, Where Wounds Are Healed, and I'll light the chalice and get started. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. When it comes to beloved community, we focus on creating a place where wounds are healed and wrongs are righted. Our faith has taken up this work and called on UUs to build a world without racism. A large part of this is creating a new way of being together, but we also need to focus on healing old and existing wounds that linger. So what's one of the ways our faith guides us into becoming a people of beloved community? It asks, acknowledge and heal the wounds that racism has caused. And I have an object of reflection here. It's a Band-Aid, which, of course, we put on cuts and wounds. And unfortunately, there's no Band-Aid like this one for racism. People are treated differently based on the color of their skin, and these different standards are unfair. They've caused wounds to people of color. Unfairness and racism are part of the history of the black people in this country, as well as the histories of other races like Latinx, Native American, and Asian. Since this is Black History Month, we are especially thinking about racism involving African Americans. And here's one story from a man who was a black doctor. This happened to him when he was 7 years old, and he tells this story of wanting to be a part of a space story. He said, "You can't be Han Solo from Star Wars. You're black." It hit me out of nowhere. I was so confused. I mean, my skin was certainly darker than anyone else's in the group, but since when was that going to stop the game about space aliens? I assumed they sensed my confusion and offered me the role as Lando instead, because he looked more like you, they said. It was the day that my mother explained racism to me. 3 of the ways to heal racism, or to put a Band-Aid on racism, are to notice differences and to celebrate them, or to say, I see what's happening and it's not fair. Don't let the wound continue to happen. Or fix the system that caused the personal wounds. The rest of our session will explore these 3 ways that we can help. One of the ways to heal the wounds of racism is to fix the system that caused the personal pain. And I'm going to read you a parable, which is sometimes called Babies in the River or Upstream, Downstream. And it's about fixing the system that causes wounds or causes babies in the river, which is called upstream thinking. And we'll include links so that you can read it yourself, and also a link to another story that you might find helpful. Babies in the River is based on variously attributed tales, including those of Saul Alinsky and Irving Zola. It goes like this. Once upon a time, there was a small village on the edge of a river. Life in the village was very busy. There were people growing food and teaching children to make blankets, and people making meals. One day, a villager took a break from harvesting food and noticed a baby floating down the river towards the village. She couldn't believe her eyes. She heard crying in the distance and looked downstream to see that 2 other babies had already floated by the village. She looked around at the other villagers working nearby. "Does anyone else see that baby?" she asked. One village woman heard her, but continued working. "Yes," yelled a man who'd been making soup. "Oh, this is terrible," a woman said who had been building a campfire. "Look, they're even more upstream." Indeed, there were 3 more babies coming around the bend. "How long have these babies been floating by?" asked another villager. No one knew for sure, but someone thought they might have been in the river some time earlier. They were busy at the time and didn't have time to investigate. They quickly organized themselves to rescue the babies. Watchtowers were built on both sides of the shore, and swimmers were coordinated to maintain shifts of rescue teams that watched for 24-hour surveillances over the river. Zip lines with baskets were attached and stretched across the river to get even more babies to safety quickly. The number of babies that floated down the river only seemed to increase. The villagers built orphanages, and they taught even more children to make blankets, and they increased the amount of food they grew to keep the babies housed and warm and fed. Life in the village carried on. Then one day, a meeting of village council, a villager asked, "But where are all these babies coming from?" "No one knows," said another villager. "But I say we organize a team and go upstream and find out who's throwing these babies in the river." Not everyone was in agreement. "But we need to help the people to pull these babies out of the river," one villager said. "That's right," said another villager. "And who will be here to cook for them and to look after them if a bunch of us go upstream?" The council chose to let the village decide. So, if you were a villager in this village, what would you vote? Would you send a team upstream or keep everyone back in the village trying to put band-aids on the problems that were floating downstream? In this story, it's just as important to go upstream and fix the system as it is to catch the babies that are floating downstream because they're being tossed in the river. The babies floating downstream is just a symptom of a bad situation upriver, like some kind of a wound. So, what could we do if you imagined yourself to be in that situation? What could you do to help the people to heal the wound? Bad wounds are happening even as we speak, and people are resisting and calling for change. Small steps are important. They're just as important as big steps because big steps begin with small steps, and we can all take part. So if you have someone there to talk with, you can pause the video for a moment and talk about what you think this story of babies in the river means and how it relates to our task to erase racism in our lifetimes. I'm going to hand the microphone over to Miss Jeanay, and she's going to finish up the session, but we will include some links for you to watch or read so that you can think about this even more. So until next time, I love you and miss you all, and I wish you wealth, health, and happiness, and lots of good thinking on how you can help. Namaste. See you next time.
Good morning. My name is Jeanay Johnson, and I'm your Religious Education and Communications Coordinator here at Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg, Florida. So, for today, I want to go into our mindfulness practice. Now, one of the ways we heal the wounds of racism is to notice the differences and celebrate them. None of us are alike, are we? Some of us might have similar to same complexions, some of us may not. Some of us might have different eyes, some of us may not. Some of us may have different hair, most of us may not. So, considering these differences we have, one of the things that I love about religious education is the fact that we can explore the many religions, traditions, and cultures, spiritual values, and so forth, and bring them all into one lesson. So, I want you to celebrate our uniqueness. I want you to be mindful of our differences and celebrate them. So I invite you all to share something that they can do that others may not be able to, such as curl your tongue, or wiggle your ears, or wiggle your toes, or touch your nose with your tongue. I surely can't do that. I want you to touch your thumb with your forearm. Let's see. How do you do that? Touch your thumb to forearm. Hmm. That actually seems very impossible. Jay, do you think you can do that? Can you show us how to do that? Come over here. Can you touch your elbow to your forearm? Touch your thumb to forearm?
Just
Like
do
this?
this,
Uh-huh.
and then do this.
Show everybody there.
See?
Let's see.
Just like crossing your arms, and then do this.
And okay.
Like this, and go over there.
See, she took the easy route, the very simple route. Apparently, I went all around the mulberry bush with just sheer difficulty. So another thing, can you cross one eye?
Cross one eye? What
Like,
do you mean? Together?
look at the camera. Let's see. Can you cross your eyes together? How about can you whistle with your thumbs together? Like that?
No.
No, I can't do that either. We can do that, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. How about let's make a silly face. Can you make a silly face? That's not silly face. So I want you guys at home to practice these silly faces. Do these things together. What silly face can you come up with? Here she is. There she is doing that there.
Cuckoo.
All right. So we're going to flow right into our mindfulness meditation, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the lesson for today. Miss Trish, thank you so much for all that you do. And also, you guys stay tuned because one day soon, I'm thinking in March, that we may be able to come and gather outside in our backyard and have an RE lesson outdoors. What do you guys think? Please feel free to shoot me an email. The email is displayed at the end of this video. Give me a phone call. All of you should have my phone number. If not, you can just shoot me an email and I respond just as fast, just like a text message, okay? I appreciate you all. I will see you all very soon. Bye. All right. Now it's time for us to get centered. Let's get comfortable. Now, create your own daydream, imagining a life without this COVID. Close your eyes and envision yourself reaching that goal as realistically as you can. Who will you shake hands with and who will you hug? Who will you sing at the top of your lungs with? What will you sing together? Where will you go? To your grandparents, your cousins, to the beach, back to school? What will you do? Will you cook with family, run a race, build that sand castle together, yell with friends on the playground? How will you even get there? Will you walk, boat, fly, or even swim? Vividly see yourself at each step you'll take, packing your duffel, meeting at the playground, saying hi to the crossing guard. There are so many obstacles in the way, but let's reimagine what it's like with what we actually want. and savor your life after COVID for a few moments, knowing that someday it will happen. Take a deep breath and return to reality. Our imaginations help us find the patience to get through the grit. We can imagine a better time. It may not be exactly what we used to be, but we can imagine this for ourselves. Now reflect. How did you feel? How are you feeling now? How can we help each other? You are so wonderful.
There is always a light when we are ready to see it. There is always a light when we are ready to be it. To see the light, to be the light, to raise our eyes in the dark of night, to climb this hill, together we will. There is always a light in the dark. We are ready to see it. There is always a light in the dark. We are ready to be it. To see the light, to be the light, to raise our eyes in the dark of night and be a gift. Together we will. There is always a light. There is always a light. We are ready to see it. There is always a light. There is always a light. We are ready to be it. To see the light, to be the light, to raise our eyes in the dark of night and be a gift. Together we will. There is always light. There is always light. There is always light. There is always light. To see the light, to be the light, to raise our eyes in the dark of night and be a gift.